they can take these QR codes, you open them, you don't know where it's going, and within seconds they can download all the information on your phone. So that obviously is incredibly frightening. So we don't want to be susceptible to that. So I think for the time being, until they find a fix, QR codes would be something I would avoid. I am certainly going to be skipping the whole QR code thing. All right, so welcome to our January webinar talking about scam preventions. And this topic is one that I'm excited to talk about, but not because I'm excited that they're happening. I'm just finding that the scam landscape continues to grow and grow. The creativity of folks out there that are looking to scam our clients and friends only continues to grow. I probably couldn't pull anybody that's here today that hasn't been subjected to some sort of scam, whether it was somebody that you know, something happened to you personally, whatever the case may be. And so we've just seen, as this, with artificial intelligence and all the other different things that are going on, we've just seen it grow and grow. So before we get into our presentation and stuff today, I just wanted some housekeeping. The chat box is open, so if you have questions, please post them in there. I'll have that open here while we're talking. And as you can see, I've got Will Schrader here with me. My financial planning associate is with us here today. And so, Will, as we get started in this journey, and we'll be talking a lot about scams here internally, maybe describe to everybody a little bit about what we've been discussing and some of the resources we've been trying to tap into a little bit.
Yep. So scams have been a frequent topic among clients asking, what's going on in the community. So what we've been doing is our own research via the internet. And then we also got to interview Detective Ryan here behind us at the Des Moines Police Department, and he focuses in financial crime. So he was a great person to talk to and get a little insight on what's going on, and then getting feedback from all of you. If you guys have experienced any scams and how they went, just getting your feedback there.
That's right. And so the different types of scams that we learned about from Detective Ryan were obviously interesting. This is all he does. And there was, what, 5 of them? And 4 or 5 of them in his little area of the Des Moines Police Department that focuses just on following up on financial crimes or any sort of scam that's going on in the community. And it doesn't have to be isolated to the elderly or anyone. It's just anything that's going on in the scam landscape where people have lost money or been threatened. He's had to go out and investigate those. So he was an incredible resource. He shared with us a lot of additional areas that we didn't know about where people were seeing scams that we think will be helpful today. And so I'm going to go ahead and start our presentation. All right. It wouldn't be a presentation without some good disclosures. So read those at your whimsy. That will be great. And then here we go. So as we mentioned early on, the landscape only broadens. The ability now for artificial intelligence to emulate and simulate people's voices to gather information about people has only made this problem worse. There's no indication that by any means any of us are going to be getting safer out there in the cyber landscape or with our phones, because whenever the next cybersecurity measure comes into place, someone comes along that breaks that, finds a way to get through whatever firewalls or hurdles are put out there to get into people's business. And once certain information about where you bank, where you do your business, how you communicate to your family is learned by somebody who's deceptive, they are using that information to their advantage. And so what we're trying to do today is to update you on a few scams that we've learned about, especially in the financial world, and also include some steps that can help protect you along the way. So the first thing that we learned about is bank employee imposters, and I'll let Will kind of describe this, and then I'll share a few examples.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys have all gotten text messages or maybe even phone calls from your bank or some random bank that you don't even bank with saying X amount of money was charged to your account. Was this transaction authorized or not? And what the scammer is trying to get you to do is respond. So if you respond, yes, this was unauthorized, they're going to call you, and you're probably going to be in a little bit of a panic, and you might be more susceptible to giving them your account number or social security number or whatever it is as verification, and then they're off from there, and they can, steal your money, your identity, whatever. So how to prevent this would be, if you get a text or a call from the bank, I would hang up and call the bank's 1-800 number and ask if the call or text you receive is legit. 9 times out of 10, it is not going to be legit. If you get a phone call and they're asking for your account number or social for verification, it's probably a scam. When I worked at a credit union, we had verbal passwords with all of our members. It was something they set up at account opening, and that was how we verified them. It would just be a word or a phrase, whatever was easy for them to remember. That's what it would be. And I'm assuming that more banks are going to use that rather than account numbers or other sensitive information to verify you. So just don't reply directly to the text or anything. Just call your bank directly and see if it's legit.
Absolutely. Just yesterday on Facebook, someone sent out a notice that they'd received a call, and they sent a copy of the call they'd received. It showed the bank's information as the source of the caller, and said that there was illegal activity going on out of Chicago in their account, and could they verify a few things. She did exactly the right thing. She hung up, she called the bank. They said, we would never do that. We would never call to alert you that way. She absolutely did the right thing to call in and say what's going on, and nothing had been happening was the answer, and that she was being scammed. And so once these scammers learn about where you bank, however they figure that out, they can emulate now that they're calling from said bank and get you to deliver information that a banker would never ask you for. So I think that's the key takeaway when it comes to banking information, is always asking yourself, would the bank actually need this from me? Or can I call somebody at the bank that I know that can check whether this is a legitimate thing or not? But many of these scams originate at banks because they have an air of legitimacy right away. It's your bank. It's people that you already work with. And if they can match up that caller ID, then all of a sudden they've got a leg in there. So the one that he described and the one that I saw here recently is great examples of what's going on with banks. It's not just, though, in banks. It can be something like Charles Schwab, who's our custodian. They can pretend that they're calling from there and they need information. Schwab would never do that. They would always encourage you to call in and check on if there's a problem. What you will get from time to time is emails from Schwab that say either we've moved money or some sort of trade confirmation. Those are legitimate, and they're not asking you to do anything. They're just for your information only. But if ever you receive something from Schwab, or if you're in one of our 401k plans and you see it from Principal, Empower, whomever, same thing. Always check with the custodian or the record keeper themselves before you do anything, and before you make any changes or deliver any information, because again, they don't need that from you. They already know your social security number and all that information. So don't let yourself get sucked up into what all these scammers always use, which is fear. If they can scare you that something is going on, they can in many cases get a chance to manipulate. All right. So this is one that we didn't know about and we won't spend a lot of time on, but it's pretty frequent that we're seeing scams in the area of romance or online dating. And so I was obviously interested in this because I have kids that are out there using these apps, and we have friends from time to time, but maybe you want to share with them the landscape. And this is Detective Ryan focused on these a lot because he said this is becoming more and more prevalent.
Yeah, romance scams are gaining popularity. Essentially what it is someone who is seeking a companion online. They're, online meeting people, they come across someone and they get to chatting, it gets serious, maybe the person develops feelings for this person, but in reality this person isn't real, it's a scammer. And what they do is they play the long game here, so they make you believe that they're a legit person, and then a lot of times they will request money to either, come see you, or they say their family's in need, can you help? And then if you've got feelings for this person, you might be more apt to do so. But they request it in a very odd way. The new thing is Bitcoin ATMs. You can find them at gas stations all over the place, and you will deposit money or cash or a check into this ATM, send it off to their crypto wallet, and then it's gone. There's no getting it back. It's very hard to trace. You've got hardly any chance of getting it back. So if they ask you to send money via Bitcoin ATM, don't do it. Cut off connection with them. Stick to your legitimate dating sites.
Seems like the Bitcoin request is a big giveaway that something's going on. They want it non-traceable, and that's the way Bitcoin for now operates. That whole crypto ecosystem is relatively confidential, and they can get their money and disappear without anybody knowing about it. So yeah, just being careful in this arena, asking the right questions. We're not going to advertise or mention any websites today, but using ones that are well known that you have to register for and include information versus something some sort of strange request, things like that. Obviously, most of you would understand not to follow that, but it can be where you believe you're talking to a real person and you're talking to a bot, or you're talking to someone who's trying to deceive you. He mentioned 3 or 4 seniors that were taken by this scam. He mentioned a lot where they want to meet up, and then before we can meet up, I need money to get there. So they use that as a way to get money from you, those kind of things. So yeah. All right. The next area that Ryan talked about a lot that we didn't know about was social engineering. So maybe you want to explain this a little bit, Will.
So you just mentioned scammers a minute ago, that they want to instill fear in you, and that's exactly what social engineering is. They make you fearful, so you're more apt to act quickly and without thinking. So the examples he gave us were the sheriff or police department or whoever would call you, say, hey, you committed a crime in this county on this date. You need to come turn yourself in or pay us your bail. And they would request the bail money through like a Venmo or a Cash App or something. Dead giveaway right there. The police department or sheriff's office is not going to request money via PayPal or Venmo. And he said that they'll never request money over the phone. If you do think, or if you want to confirm its legitimacy, hang up, call the real station, say you got this call, is it real? Chances are it's not going to be real. But again, the whole premise behind social engineering is instilling fear in the victim so that they act quickly and without thinking.
Right. And so they'll use this sometimes if you have a second home in another place. They'll use it if you've been somewhere and got like a parking ticket or a moving violation. Somehow if they can find that out, or they check court records and see that something happened, they're like, all right, well, that hasn't been settled. You need to take care of this. The only way to do that is to go to like Polk County Bail and pay bail. If you want to go, you can send it to us. It seems pretty obvious, but if they can frighten you, again, like Will said, you'll maybe make decisions that you wouldn't. So I haven't shared this much, but someone called me once when my daughter was in Mexico, and they convinced me via them and a screaming person in the background that they had kidnapped her and they wanted ransom money. So they will do whatever they can to scare you in whatever way possible. And what I found and what I've learned is it's like Will said early, hanging up and calling back, doing some checking, saying, taking a breath to understand, is this really something that's happening? Or am I, being scammed? Is somebody looking to take advantage of me? Asking those questions, where before we would have just acted out of fear and quickly because of all the things that are going on and the way that they're able to manipulate us. It's never been a better time that, unfortunately, we have to be more and more careful. So this next one is one that I found depressing because I like to use QR codes. When I go to the restaurants, I like to pull up a QR code, look at my menu. When I'm in the airport, I'm like, oh, that looks cool, etc. And so we found out from Detective Ryan that the QR codes can sometimes be a scam. Go ahead.
Yeah, the scammer can come along and paste a fake QR code over the legit one, or just put fake ones anywhere. The thing is, with QR code, you have no idea where it's going to take you. It might say, scan this to look at the menu, but you really have no idea. It can take you somewhere that will install viruses and malware on your phone that'll steal personal information, credit card numbers, etc. So you're just kind of going in blindly, not knowing where it might take you. So avoid them if you can. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I think at restaurants, we're going to start asking just to give us a menu, kind of go back to, I know during COVID that was convenient to do it that way. I'm wondering now with all of these, if I was a scammer, a restaurant would be the easiest spot where I could just tape something onto the table and take it to a illegitimate spot. The detective told us they can take these QR codes, you open them, You don't know where it's going. And within seconds, they can download all the information on your phone. So that obviously is incredibly frightening. So we don't want to be susceptible to that. So I think for the time being, until they find a fix, QR codes would be something I would avoid. I am certainly going to be skipping the whole QR code thing. Unfortunately, I used it on our billboard that we had at the airport, and that's how people would contact us. And obviously now I'd be encouraging people not just to use our QR code, because if somebody could tape something nasty over it, which would be too bad. All right, so smishing, this is a bonus scam, and this is one we learned about from Will's mom, of all people. So thank you, Mrs. Schrader, for letting us know about this. But I'll let Will explain what smishing is.
Yeah, she saw a Facebook post about it, but it's similar to like a bank employee or a bank scam. Like the first thing we talked about, it's going to send you a text, but it doesn't have to be from a bank. It can be from, he gave the example of Charles Schwab. It could be from, you might get the ones from Amazon or USPS or UPS saying that a package couldn't be delivered. Click this link. Any of those types of messages would be considered smishing. But Schwab has actually alerted us that they know there is a Schwab smishing campaign going on, and just want to let everyone know that Schwab will never send you text messages, especially from an international number, that's going to mention anything about trades or money movements, etc. Like Matt said earlier, it'll always be in email form, and they're not going to be asking you to do anything. It's just for your records. But if you do get one from Schwab, please send it to us, and then we can get it to Schwab, or you can send it to phishing@schwab.com. That is PH phishing, not F phishing.
Your best defense with anything related to Schwab is PrairieFire. So always getting us involved if you get something that you don't understand. I get a few messages weekly from clients. Is this from you? And I appreciate them doing that, letting us know I've received this email and it seems strange. In some cases, Schwab is sending stuff that we're not aware of. So it brings us up to date to make sure we're defending you and proactively handling what needs to be done for your accounts. And as Will mentioned, they wouldn't send anything out that would be asking you, for that kind of information, et cetera. So there's a couple others that Detective Ryan sent me some sheets on. I just wanted to share with you, as well as work at home scams. And so this would be something where somebody says you can make a lot of money working from home. They're offering to help you start an online business. They have a proven system, a lot like you would hear from a franchise. And they'll then request that you send in some money for training or special access. This is bogus. They're just going to take that money and then there'll be no training. So being very careful if you're looking at a work from home opportunity to see that they're legit, Better Business Bureau, speak to somebody on the phone, all of those kind of things, just to be careful before you offer up your driver's license or bank account numbers, any of that kind of stuff. Of course, identity theft is one that we're always thinking about. I've mentioned this before and still believe making sure that you lock your credit report is one of your best defenses against somebody getting your credit access. Or I got a call from a credit card company, I believe it was about 2 to 3 years ago, and someone had applied for a credit card in my name. And so I went through the process of getting all of that canceled, and there was any sort of financial loss, locked everything down, and then there's no way anybody can get into your credit bureau to issue a card if they can't get into your credit bureau, because they'll then say, well, we can't access your credit, etc. The only trick is if you go apply for a car loan or a mortgage, you need to unlock it, but that's just a matter of convenience. And so by locking that down, I use Experian. I'm not endorsing them, just saying if you want credit protection, those kind of things. It's in this day and age, you can't be too careful. Regularly checking your credit bureau, checking your bank accounts, having locks on these kind of things. Experian and a lot of these credit protections will let you know if something weird happens in your credit bureau or in your bank accounts. So all of that can be very helpful in this kind of new age. This other one that's kind of sad is a charity scammer. And what they do is they'll pressure you to donate money quickly. So someone poses to be the Food Bank of Iowa. They call and say, we have an emergency need at our shelter or at this location. Can you please send us money now? We'll get it into the hands right away. You'll feed 50 families. You'll know it's a charity scammer if they're asking you to send money over the phone and if they pressure you to do it quickly, because charities won't do this. They'll always, I get a lot of mail requests, those kind of things, but no one's ever called me and said, hey, we need money right away for the YMCA. So that's one of the bellwethers, is if they're calling you, pressuring you, it's most likely not the charity. So there's just nowhere that you look anymore where there isn't problems and there isn't, challenges with scamming. So One of the resources Detective Ryan gave us was this ic3.gov website. And that's where you can go to report a scam as well as learn about them, right? What are these other two sites?
The FBI just you got articles and stuff on there about scamming. Both of them are going to have brochures, IC3 and FBI, full brochures about scams and other scams specifically. And then I'm not sure on that one.
Okay, but these are resources they gave us that can dig up some more information. And if you've been scammed, obviously, if something does happen, speaking to the police department and letting them know what happened. In a lot of cases, they may not be able to do much as far as restitution, but like Detective Ryan's work, they can learn about new scams. They can help other people then if this is happening. And in some cases, they will get funds back. We have learned of a few scams where people lost money and were able to get it back via the Department of Homeland Security, those kind of things. So you never know. Obviously, when this much risk and this much fraud is prevalent, there's a lot of agencies and things that are working on it to make it better. So, all right, the chat's still open if you want to go in and ask any questions. We've tried to cover as much of the relevant new information that's out there as far as it goes with scams and those kind of things. So we hope this has been helpful. If you learn of anything of ways that your family or relatives have been targeted, please let us know. One time somebody called it would be my wife's mother, and said that my son Matthew Jr. was in jail and they needed bail money. And she goes, "Why the hell are you calling me? Call Matt." And hung up. So that's your best defense if you feel like you're getting scammed, is to hang up and then get a resource out there that can actually help. But the landscape only grows, unfortunately. We have to be more and more careful, and hopefully we can all help each other by sharing in our communities what is going on out there and how we can help. So, not seeing any questions, so we will hang up for now. We appreciate you all joining us today for our scam prevention webinar. This time next week, we'll be opening up our Insights 2025. So, we're taking a look at what's coming up in the markets, what's happened in 2024. And now, with so many new things going on, a new presidential regime and new Congress and lots of landscape changes globally, what that all means for the financial markets. So that registration should have been in the email that was with this one. We'll also send out a reminder next week. So we hope that you can all join us. And Will and I will see you then. Thanks, everybody.